Hey friend, are you a leader who is career-focused, goal-driven, and possess a lifelong learner mentality? Do you dream about achieving your goals and spend hours Googling how-tos and gurus? Does a side effect of your awesome, might I add, personality include perfectionism, the dreaded imposter syndrome, and the ever-present fear of failure? Well, you've landed in the right place. We just became virtual BFFs. I'm Erin Diehl, the founder of the improv training company Improve It, and a recovering perfectionist turned failfluencer. Inspired by the improv rule, there are no mistakes, only gifts. This podcast is the creative outlet you need to not only motivate you, but the people that you lead. Through interviews with corporate leaders, entrepreneurs, and even comedians, you'll walk away becoming a more empathetic boss by realizing that failure is a part of the journey and you must fail in order to improve. In the scene of life, we all have our own unique gifts that we bring to the world, and it is our mistakes that help to unwrap them. Welcome to Failed It. Hello, Failed It family. Today's Failed It fam member of the week is 10-1 Gruick. That is from our iTunes reviews. 10-1 Gruick. Okay, I hope I'm saying that right. 10-1 Gruick says, love this podcast. Erin has such great energy on the podcast, brings interesting guests and perspectives to the table too. Informative, funny, motivating for sure. Highly recommend. Thank you so much. Truly, every week I'm like, hey, can you leave us a review? Then I read one and then I give away a gift. So 10-1 Gruick, you are receiving one of our Improve You e-learning courses. Go to our website, learntoimproveit.com. Let me tell you where I work. /online trainings. Again, learntoimproveit.com /online trainings. Pick one of 11 e-learning courses that you would like, and then send me an email at info@learntoimproveit.com. I'm going to hook you up with one of those for free for leaving us a review. Truly, these reviews help us so much. It helps us show up in Apple and iTunes. It helps more people find the show. So by leaving us a review, you are doing so much good, and it takes about 30 seconds to a minute of your time. So thank you to everyone who's left a review. If you haven't, we would love your support. Thanks so much, everybody. Let's get to failing it. Failed it, fam. I wanted to start off this episode by saying this. Even though today's show title says parenting, I don't want you to skip ahead or hit pause on today's show, because even if you aren't a parent, you have a parent, or you have someone in your life who is like a parent, and today's show might just give you a little more insight into what they have gone through at certain points in your life to make sure you were taken care of and loved. And for all my parents out there, go ahead, pour yourself a glass of wine or a bubbly seltzer water in a fancy little glass. Put your feet up and lay back, because number one, you deserve it. And number two, holy shiitake mushrooms, this has been a year for the ages. I mean, truly, there is not enough Botox in America to release the wrinkles that 2020 to 2021 put upon us. Woo! So today's episode is here to shed light on what we've all been through or witnessed others go through, and give a little attitude of gratitude for what has happened and transpired this past year. It's also a resume building workshop for any parent who went through 2020 to 2021. So go ahead, get out those Word docs. It's time to update those soft skills on the old res. Now, I'm going to start this show in the right way. And I want to say this because I know I am a privileged person. I recognize this privilege, and I realize that as a white woman in America, I have definitely been given more opportunities just by the color of my skin. And I have suffered far less hardship than many women, parents. So today's reflection is through the lens of what I faced. And know that I realize that there are many, many more stories that are not shared in this specific episode as it relates to parenting through the pandemic. And as you may note, I try to bring on as many different types of people to the Failed It Family U as guests, right? So I try to bring on all different types of people, and where all voices are welcome. And I want to say that before I dive in today, it's important for me to point this out as I am truly becoming more and more aware of this privilege. And I want to make sure that I'm also holding space here for all voices to be heard. And also saying that, my Failed It fam, it's May and Mother's Day is just around the corner. And for many, many years, Mother's Day was hard for me. I am so blessed to have an amazing mother in my life. Shout out, Janice. Know you're listening. Okay. Hey. But I wanted to very badly become one. And I'm so sensitive around this Hallmark holiday because I know there are so many families out there suffering who desperately want to become parents. And if you haven't, I would encourage you to go back to episode 49 of this podcast, Failures in Fertility, Why Our Fertility Stories Matter, or go to episode 51, where we have my fertility doctor, Dr. Angie Beltsos of Vios Fertility on. These are great, great resources for you if you feel like you're struggling with fertility or feel alone in this journey about parenting. But I wanted to use this theme of Mother's Day to also shed light and give some kudos to anyone who is parenting in some way, shape, or form during this pandemic. Now, as a teacher of soft skills, I want you to know, my friends, soft skills are the hardest to teach. Let me repeat that. Write this down. Tweet it. Soft skills are the hardest to teach. That's why I have a job. So we offer virtual and in-person workshops at Improve It on things like leadership, taking initiative and creative risks, thinking quickly on your feet, presentation skills, networking. The list goes on. We have 11 offerings. All of these are designed to help you get outside of the box by using play or improvisation to help you feel what it feels like to do these soft skills well. Now, okay, I don't want to sell myself short here, but holy hot dogs, what a crash course the past year was. We say at Improve It that we offer experiential training, but what you, my Failed It fam, received this year was immersion therapy. There was no dip a toe and see how that feels, or maybe I'll put a little foot in. You had both legs in the water. And if you didn't know how to swim, you were doing the doggy paddle or the breaststroke and just trying to tread and stay above the water. Heck, you might still be treading water, waiting for someone to throw you a life vest so you can take a moment and catch your breath. I still have those days. Also, fun fact, I want to caveat, I was a lifeguard during college, so I don't want to brag, but if you were literally drowning, I may potentially, quite possibly, be able to save you. TBD, I need a refresher. I digress. So, friends who are parents, friends who know parents, and heck, just people. I want you to get ready to spruce up that resume, your LinkedIn profile, because here are the 7 soft skills I know every parent needs to add to their resume after this crazy year. I want you to think about the special skills section of your resume, and I really and truly want you to get in there and add these because they are so valuable to any employer, and you have done them. Number 1. Confidence. Holy crap. If anyone can show up to a meeting with no makeup on, a buttoned up shirt, only thrown up on minutes before, gym shorts and bare feet, and still rock a sales meeting and say that they are not confident, then I don't know what confidence is. We have all had to take off our work masks, open up our homes, allow our dogs to bark, and showcase our flaws. Even though Zoom does have a very nice filter where you can cover those up, just saying. In fact, I think it has made many of us more confident as human beings, what we've all gone through, because that shield we wore at work for so long as a defense mechanism was literally ripped off. The fact we have had to wear so many hats and still manage to get so many things accomplished should allow anyone to feel more confident about themselves. So go ahead, give yourself a pat on the back, friend. You deserve it. Now add this soft skill to your resume. Number 2. Here's a number 2 skill for you to add under special skills. Organized. If you were to take a look at my calendar in 2019 versus 2020, wow, it's really taken a turn. And it looks something similar to Tetris that you would see on an old school Game Boy. Parents, we have been forced to become more organized. Some days we may feel like we are totally failing in this department, but if you managed to get your kids dressed off to school or their virtual Zoom, then park yourself in front of your computer for 8 hours, then cook dinner, get the laundry done, get the kids fed and bathed, and then find some time for you, you are nailing it. Not to mention, if your workday includes multiple breaks for helping with Zoom or homework or mom, will you please make me a snack? Add organization to your resume now. Hey, Failed It fam. Are you a leader for a small or large team that's stuck working from home? Are you missing the in-office happy hours or training sessions that allow people to interact and get to know each other? Are you sick of staring at a spreadsheet and you want something that will not only enhance team morale, but also build soft skills? Then Improve It has your back. We've pivoted all 11 of our in-person soft skill training workshops to this virtual environment. Using Zoom, we'll create a memorable hour-and-a-half experience that can train your team on things like effective communication, leadership, thinking quickly on your feet, presentation skills, and networking all in this virtual environment. Leading a team of interns, let us wow them with our Career 101 workshop. Leading a sales team who's figuring out how to cold call or even warm call in this virtual world, have our team of improv professionals facilitate our sales training workshop. If this is the spice that your team needs to get out of this work from home rut, email us at info@learntoimproveit.com. Again, that's info@learntoimproveit.com, and that's toimproveit.com. Or you can head to our website, learntoimproveit.com, to learn more. We would love to help you improve your it virtually, whatever your it might be. Number 3, understanding. If you are a leader, this soft skill has got to be added to your resume. Team member late because their internet wouldn't turn on? Is a team member not feeling well or needs a personal day in the middle of a big project due to the weight of the health pandemic or the social injustice pandemic? Is your team feeling a bit down because of what is happening in the world, or the fact that they can't go outside because it's cold and they have nowhere to go, or the fact that they are stuck staring at their screens for 8 hours on end and their office is also where they sleep? You've been understanding. Is your child sad because they can't go to school, they've heard scary things on the news, or they haven't socialized with friends in a few weeks? You've been understanding. Write that down. Number 4. Resilience. Congrats. Here's your certificate. You and the rest of the entire world can get it framed and hang it on a wall in your office. World's most resilient human. If you are saying to yourself, well, I really don't identify with that word, there were days I spent laying on my couch, sobbing, drinking wine, and binging Schitt's Creek. That's okay. The mere fact that you are listening to this podcast, that you are doing something to better you, shows that you are resilient. Did you have a business that had to pivot from in-person to virtual in 2020? Saying that for a friend. Resilient. Have a team that you had to restructure in the past year. Resilient. Have a dream that you thought would be accomplished in 2020, but it was ripped to shreds and you had to pause or change the course of how it looked completely. Resilient. You are stronger than you know, my Failed It fam. We were all resilient in 2020 and we are still going strong. Write down resilience on that resume. Resilience on the res. Here is your fifth skill that you gained this year, my friends. A signer. ASSIGNER. I have a nasal twang. Sometimes it sounds weird. A signer. I know you failed it, fam. I know you are a leader. You are in charge of people, or you are on your way to being in charge. You had to become the ultimate delegator in the past year, from assigning team members new tasks and roles and responsibilities to asking for help when you need it in terms of childcare, favors from friends. The list goes on. I became the ultimate delegator in 2020. Now, I had already done a lot of this when I went on maternity leave with my team, but I had to restructure what we were doing and I had to ask for help instead of taking on all of the work myself. Now, this is very hard for me because I like to know how things work before I pass the task on. There was very little time for this during the pandemic. We rolled up our sleeves, we got the work done, and we figured it out as we went. I know that you did the same. You had to. And if you didn't have help, perhaps you realized that you can't do this alone. No one can. We cannot parent, teach, lead teams, or help others without help. It's just not possible. So write assigner or master delegator on your resume. You freaking deserve it. I know it's okay to ask for help. Every single person on the face of the planet needs it. We are in this together and we cannot do it alone. Here's your sixth skill. Grateful. If this past year taught us anything, it's that we need to savor the moments, count our blessings, and be grateful for what we have. Our health became our biggest forms of wealth. The life that we so easily took for granted before, with the travel, the trips out to eat, the large gatherings, the way we commuted into work, the hugs, the interpersonal connections we felt and had on a daily basis. When all of that was stripped away, we received a deep sense of gratitude for some things that we so easily took for granted. On a personal note, I realized this year how stinking lucky I am to have my family. How much stuff and possessions did it matter? How lucky I am to have them in my lives. But when the world shifted and all we wanted was just space and grass and family, traveling from Chicago to South Carolina with my husband, my dog, our son, and literally packing up everything that mattered in our 4-door small SUV, I was reminded in that moment that in that car was everything I needed to be happy and fulfilled. I am sure that you have felt immense senses of gratitude at some point in 2020 or 2021. Maybe it's gratitude for the food on your table and the people who were still working and risking their lives through the pandemic to make sure that you had that food. Maybe it's gratitude for your home, for shelter from the cold or the heat, and for the ability to stay and work in it during the pandemic. Maybe it was gratitude for the breath that you took with clear lungs that reminded you that you are healthy, while many, many others were not. Gratitude is a practice, my friend. And if you don't feel like you can add it to your resume now, start practicing. It will change your attitude. It will change your life, period. And finally, our number 7 skill I want you to go ahead and add to that res is empathetic. Empathy. There were 2 pandemics this year, a global health pandemic and a pandemic for much needed change and for social and racial justice. We have all been forced to look at our lives, our own privilege, and think beyond ourselves. Black and Asian American voices were heard louder than ever as we saw the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, Daunte Wright. The list goes on. We have mourned their loss, but also have mourned what this has meant for people of color and for marginalized communities for decades. That's why I started out the show today acknowledging my privilege. Empathy, compassion, kindness, that is what we as the Failed It fam have felt this year. You felt it because I know you. You care about people and what our friends, our coworkers, our teammates are feeling. To be a parent and to not be empathetic to the parents of these people whose lives were lost is not in our DNA. You care. You want a better world. You are a better world. And because of your empathy and action, Failed It fam, we are working our hardest to make it. Empathy is the first step. Putting ourselves in others' shoes, seeing a neighbor or a friend who is struggling to feed their family and asking, how can you help? Seeing a friend whose business is struggling and asking, what can I do? Empathy is the root of your heart. So go ahead and put empathy in all caps under special skills on your resume, friend. This is you. So, Failed It fam, let me recap for you here. Confidence, organization, understanding, resilience, assigner, grateful, empathy. These 7 words are the soft skills that you can say you learned during the pandemic as a parent, as a leader, as a person going through this tough time. If you need an easy way to remember these words during your next interview, whether it be for a job interview, a podcast interview, or even a question over dinner, here's the acronym for what you have learned during this pandemic. Courage. C, confidence. O, organized. U, understanding. R, resilience. A, assigner. G, grateful. E, empathetic. You have and you possess more courage than you know, my Failed It family. I'm so proud of you. And I cannot wait to see how you take these soft skills and do even bigger and bolder things. Knowing what you've done in the past year, you should know that it took just that. Courage. You are an amazing human. Keep going, keep being courageous, and congrats on all of the courage you embodied in the past year. Fail, yeah, Failed It fam. Fail, yeah. Hey friends, thanks for tuning into Failed It. I am so happy you were along for the ride. If you enjoyed this show, please head on over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Now, if you're really feeling today's show, please take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram at Keeping It Real Deal and share it to your stories so we can bring more people to the Failed It family. I'll see you next week, but I want to leave you with this thought. What will you fail at today, and how will that help your future successful self? Think about it. I'm so proud of you, and you are totally failing it. See you next time.